Hello, friends there. Hello, friends here. Thank you for being here. So today like I was saying, we'll work on a very special rag Bindalasi, and we'll jump right in. Um, from last time, if we just review that jati system of what rags can go, 5 or 6 or 7 up, and then 5 or 6 or 7 down, and we learned a little bit of that Shuddh Kalyan, which is Audava Sampurna, which meant 5 going up and 7 coming down. This rag Bhimpalasi also falls under that same jati. So this is a whole another usage of this word jati. It just means like a classification type. So it's that type of the 5/7. Means 5 notes going up, 7 notes coming down. The other important thing is that this rag is in a different tat. So last week we did Kalyan tat. If you remember, Kalyan tat is like what in Western music they would call Lydian. Right, that was the scale. Sorry, I have to use the first. So that was the basic Kalyan scale, right? Kalyan is not a rag; it's that tat, just the basic scale. So, right, that was the basic scale set that we could draw on. So when we did Shuddha Kalyan, and it was Audava Sampurna, and you have to specify now in Audava Sampurna which Audava. So in this particular rag, it was Sa Re Ga Pa Da Sa. Nice, right? So Ma and Ni were barjit, like skipped, omitted. But it is Sampurna coming down, so we played all the notes. Okay, that's fine. This rag is in a different tat altogether. This rag is in Kafi tat. That's what this tat is called. Kafi is also a rag. It's a different rag, I think. I'm not sure exactly. How does Kafi go in Carnatic?
It's like
it's mixed, right? Yeah. It has both gas, which so does this Hindustani Kafi. Does that both? Yeah, so it could be. But Kafi is also the top name. Means it's a scale set. Now, what is that scale set? Now, let us explore this, because this is something now going to be very different. When you move tat, when you move the basic notes that you're going to start with, that's your scale set. You're using now different types of rays and gas. So what does this particular scale set Kafi sound like? It sounds like this. In Western music, they call this a Dorian scale. Or sometimes they call it's like you can think of it, or if you want, it's like minor scale with a major 6. Sometimes they call it like that. There's different ways you can name it, but basically that's what it is. Dorian scale set in Hindustani music, Kafi. So, what are the notes? Let us review that are being used. In the Kalyan tat, it was all Shuddha notes, and that Ma was Tivra, right? So all Shuddha notes with Ma Tivra. This Kafi tat has what? It has Re is Shuddha, Ga is Komal, Ma is Shuddha, Pa is always Pa. Pa never changes. Pa is like Sa. Sa and Pa always same, never change, right? Dha is Shuddha here. Ni is Komal. Yeah, this is important. So you're getting this Komal Ga and Komal Ni. This is important, because, and again, why things like certain rags have their flavor. For example, Ga in Bhimpalasi, you never want to play flat like I was just playing it. Always Ga should be. That's what gives the flavor of the rag. So we'll get to that too. It's not to say that Maga and Gama doesn't happen, especially in Tans when you're moving up and down the scale, that's fine. But the intonation of those notes in the, Ucharana of the rag have to be like, you want to take Ga always from Ma, like that. Kind of things like that. And we'll look into more things like that. Okay, so Kafi tat is clear. Again, so Sa, Shuddha Re, Komal Ga, Shuddha Ma, Pa, Shuddha Ga, Komal Ni, Sa, Sa Ni, Da, Pa, Ma, Ga, De, Sa. we try singing Coffee Top together? Yeah? Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma da ni sa. It's very nice. In fact, some people say that coffee was the original Shuddha scale, actually, like in Bharata's time. I don't know. That's what people say. Okay, so I think we should just go right into it. Bhimbalasi is Audva Sampurna Rag. So the question now is, which notes? This time is not sa, re, ga, pa, da, sa. Those are not the notes that we're using. The notes we're using in ascending in the arohi in this rag are sa, ga, ma, pa, ni, sa. So sa, ga, ma, pa, ni, sa means re and da are varjit in Bhimbalasi arohi. Avarohi, all notes, so same, like you were just singing. And like in many rags, starting, we always approach sa from beneath. That sounds nice, whether it's Shuddhani or Komalni or even Dha sometimes. The approach to sa from below is very important. So usually we start the scale usually at ni. It gives a good sound to the whole thing when we play the scales. So we would play the scale of Bhimbalasi easily as ni, sa, ga, ma, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, ni, sa, ga, ma, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, ni, sa, ni. That's another characteristic of Bhimbalasi. This ni can't be just straight. You want that ni to be like that gama thing. Same thing, this sani. Ni you should be always taking from sa. So you want to hear, that's good, like Bhimbalasi type. Right? Yeah, that gives the flavor. So all of those are rag specific. There might be another rag where you don't do that, even though you have ni and sa happening. So these are all rag specific things, I would say. Okay, should we try singing the arohi and avarohi together? This nisa, gama, pa, nisa. Okay, ready? Nisa, gama, pa, nisa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. Nisa, gama, pa, nisa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. Just that little touch also adds some more of that Bhimbalasi characteristic. So what was that? So you're coming down. Even that is fine. But a little turnaround on gama. Gama, gama, ga, re, sa is a characteristic type phrase. Gama, ga, re, sa, ni, sa is like a classic Bhimbalasi phrase. So this gama, ga is good to use. So sa, ni, da, pa, gama, ga, re, sa, ni, sa. So let's sing it with that addition. Ni, sa, gama, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. Ni, sa, gama, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. Ni, sa, gama, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma. Sorry, I messed up myself. Again, a little faster. Ni, sa, gama, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. Ni, sa, gama, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. Ni, sa, gama, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. Ni, sa, gama, pa. having that little bit of gamak gives life to the rag. Because gamak doesn't happen everywhere and willy-nilly. It's in particular places. And one thing I will say, and record this, and make very clear this point. Any business of people saying that Indian music is microtonal or anything like that is absolutely not correct in one way. It may be correct in another way, but not in the way that our system is not microtonal. A system, as we learned, has these 7 notes. It's not a microtone. These are major tones. And then there's some varieties in those extra 5 notes. So 12-tone diatonic scale. Basically same as in Western music, I will say. The microtonal stuff are rag specific. And this is really important. They're rag specific things. Now, what I mean by that, right, is that, for example, a komal ga in Western music, that has like minor third, what they call that note or whatever, flat, E flat. That pitch, that has a frequency, that has a precision thing that says this is in tune and that's it. We don't have any such thing like that. There's no way to say this komal ga is, this exact thing in terms of some kind of universal life of that komal ga. You understand what I'm saying? In Indian music, the komal ga has its meaning. If it's a komal ga in Bhimpalase, it means one thing. If it's the komal ga in Myanki Tori, it means something else. So the context gives it meaning. And secondly, the context as in the rag gives it meaning. But on top of that, the time that one particular artist is going to play, that also has importance. I might play komal ga a little bit differently one day than a different day. The point I'm trying to stress is the idea of one universalized idea of like komal ga is absolutely not there. And whatever like in between notes we're doing, those are also not precise things. They happen within the context of rag. So for us, that's saying ga the right way. That may be from a Western perspective, including notes that go from ma to ga. But there's no clear microtonal thing that we're trying to do in that. In the Indian mind, this is just an embellishment of ga. Does this make sense? I don't know if I'm being clear. Is this clear? Does this make sense? Kind of. So, for example, like one example that often comes up is that the komal ga in Myanki Tori is ati komal. Ati komal, like very flat. It's more flat than the standard ga that we generally use. Okay? Now, again, ati komal is not like a fixed thing. It's a general prescription that in this rag, that note is coming a little bit lower. But we don't say that it's 444 hertz or this is the correct exact thing. And like I'm saying, one artist may play it a lot flatter and another artist may play it a little flatter. And maybe some artist plays it exactly like Pakash, that ga. And all of them can be right. Does this make sense? This is the context-sensitive, principle of a lot of Indian things. Even the fact that we have sa, going back to that first class, the whole idea of sa as opposed to si, right? That in itself is a relational system. It's a contextual system. If I now go and change this sa, every note that I'm playing here has a totally different meaning, right? Does that make sense? I hope that is making sense. Yeah, please ask her.
Like that much sweeter, softer hand. So I have something everybody is following the note. Then why you're connected, this type of thing is much sweeter hand or much. So that's the reason that the same note, somebody is.
Absolutely.
That was my question. why we are singing.
Yes,
It sounds much sweeter, it sounds little different.
yeah,
But I was wondering that everybody is following the same location.
exactly.
So maybe that's explaining what
That's my whole point. That's my whole point. So the point again to stress this thing is both artists. Let's say you're comparing. Both are playing Desh, or both are playing Bhim Palasi, or both are playing Shuddha perfectly. I mean, 100% marks for playing correct rag, everything. But one you said was somehow sweeter or something like that. Yeah, so that's what it is. That's what rag is, and that's what the personal touch, that contextual. Maybe in that particular day you were in a good mood, or you were feeling something, or that artist was feeling something. All that context-sensitive stuff is what makes all of that difference.
It's incredible. So if you're, let's say you're blue on one particular day,
Yeah,
you're a little sad.
yeah.
You play that note a little flatter, for instance.
You might, yeah, yeah,
As opposed to another day.
yeah, yes.
But it's the same note.
It is. It's the same note, and you play the same rock both those days.
As opposed to, let's say, an E flat on a piano.
It's always going to be the same.
It's always going to be that.
Right. But what's different is, and
You can't change it.
right,
It's just that.
right. But to support Western music in the artistry, I mean, which is amazing. Let me, I mean, I don't want to denigrate any of that. I mean, I love Western music. All music for me is great. In Western music, the greatness comes. People say, "Oh, well, you just have fixed compositions. You're not improvising like Indian musicians or jazz musicians." Yes, that's true. But that's why you want to hear Glenn Gould doing, Bach on the piano, or you want to hear Itzhak Perlman playing this, or you want to hear Bernstein conducting the Philharmonic. Why is that important? Because they're bringing their touch. What is Zubin Mehta doing that's different than some other guy? He's conducting that orchestra, playing it at a tempo, leading them, and that's the artistry that you're going to hear. That's why the conductor is such an important person, like in orchestral work, So, and then you have soloists, and everyone has their own. Everyone's playing the same repertoire, but why are some people good? It's that sweetness. So it's that individuality again. So that's there in Western music, of course. Even when you're playing improvised music, it becomes more accentuated, that individuality, when you have improvisational music, naturally, because it's you doing the composing. You are composer and performer at the same time. You know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of freedom. Okay. This was good to talk about. So some of those things, those microphones, but really, we don't think of them that way. Everything really comes down to different kinds of alankara. The idea in Indian music is, this skeleton, as nice as it sounds, is only that, a skeleton. It has no life to it at all. It has a potential. You need to add that flesh to it, but then the prana has to come. That prana is the ras and the bhav that individual brings. But to give it some meat and flesh, so I really know it's Bhim Palasi, then you know that this me, like I'm showing, and this is how we learn also. Again, the teacher doesn't always just say, like, it's this me, you have to play like, you just like copy what your teacher plays. The whole thing is, there's no explicit grammar laid out when you learn in the traditional ways. It's later that we came up with all the theory. I mean, and the oldest thoughts, man, absolutely no theory at all. I mean, at least not in the way that we think of it. They have different kind of theory. And, just to explain, when I think of Bhim Palasi, I don't think, about those notes. I think about that day I learned this rock, like that moment, that context, that afternoon, when I, was mesmerized and learned that thing. That's what I think back to. Or I think back to when I remember hearing that one recording of, Amir Khan just hit that da in that amazing way, or whatever it is. So it all comes from some kind of deep, experience that you have. It's like recall, it's like memory, That's why they call all this stuff smriti. All the texts outside of the Vedas, everything else is called smriti. Smriti is nothing but remembering something. That's all. Rag is really nothing but remembering. And then, of course, you add your imagination, just like we all. When you remember the past, you kind of make some things up there too, fill in things or forget certain things or whatever it is. It's like that. So this knee and beam plus is very important, you know? Okay, so let's review those three phrases. What was going on there? First one, ni, ni, sa, right? But, you know. But at a basic level, basically, then the next phrase, because that's how you have to learn. It looks very complicated, but it's ni, ni, sa with this alankara on top of it. Okay, then the next phrase was? Can you guess what that is? Ni, from low. Ni, ni, the, fa. Ni, ni, the, fa. Then? Pasanisa, pasanisa. So you can write very easily. You can write down the alap of this whole thing. Right? You could write it down, but that will never be what it is. What it really is those notes going into your heart, going into your system, going into your mind, and you are going to remember that when you think about this. These notes are nothing but. So, what are the phrases then? Quickly, I'll review. Or you can play with stroke. This is important, right? Pa, da, pa. See, the da is only coming in. Ni, sa. Okay, we got back to sa. Then? You go on playing this rag. It's just like so powerful. Like simple, like this pocket now that we're going to end. This is the heart of the rag right here. This whole gamma, re, sa, this really gives me, and it just gives the whole flavor. So, what is that? Sa, ni, sa, ga, ga. Sa, ga, ga. Let's try that. Da, da, da. Sa, ni, sa, ga. Ga, re, sa, re. Ga, re, sa, re. Now, I was saying that ga, like I played that ga like that, but better way to play ga is what is that? Sani samaga, but just touching ma means which we basically say is ga, but you have to be very clear in your mind that it's pulling from ma. Right? So that's like a giveaway beam velocity type phrase. Now, this is a classic phrase. A little bit you might not expect, but very nice and important. Now, I'll introduce these terms. We'll keep going. And I'll explain even what's going on in this too. That's another important thing. Ma, in this rag, this note, ma, is considered the important note. This important note is called vadi. This is a technical term. Some people think about it a lot. I don't generally think about Vadi that much. Vadi, they say, is the king note, and then Samvadi is, they call the minister note. Yeah, so somebody's helping them. Now, Vadi and Samvadi are interesting because, actually, I mean, many times they say that they're like a certain distance apart, what they say, like a fourth or a fifth. Now, I'll explain what that means. And this is interesting because it's also like in Western music. In Indian music, Western music and in Indian music, both break up that basic scale, that saregama, into two sections, the upper and lower tetrachord. What in Western music they call tetrachords, that's four notes, like the four here and then the four upper ones. Same idea happens in Indian music, called Purvang and Uttarang. So the Purvang encompasses which notes? Sa, Re, Ga, and Ma. The Uttarang is Pa, Da, Ni, and then High Sa. Okay? Interestingly, these two sets of four also exhibit a lot of parallels. Parallel motion. And I'll explain what that means. And so this idea of Vadi, Samvad itself means that kind of a relationship that's happening between notes. So there's usually these two focal points that are usually one's in one tetrachord and one's in the other one. One in Purvang, one in Uttarang. So actually in this rag, I mean, I don't know who decides what's Vadi, Samvadi. Like I said, it's not like an Ustadi thing that you would be talking about. The Ustads never talk about this kind of stuff. Maybe some pundits these days, maybe they do, I don't know. But my guru never taught me all this stuff. Ma generally is the Vadi. I don't know, they may call Sa the Samvadi. I don't know. We can look it up and see what some online sources say, just to be curious. The main point I want to make is every rag has, like I said, this characteristic ornamentation. It also has characteristic things about what's happening on certain notes. So in Bhim Palasi, Ma is a big note, we'd say. Big note. Da is not a big note. I'm not going to be playing a lot of Da in this rag. So it's not going to come up that much. So this weightage that we feel, again, these are all things that come out in, becoming familiarity with these ragas. Not necessarily some kind of computational, like, okay, there has to be more Ma now or anything like that. It's a much more organic kind of thing. Okay, let me continue with some of the more alap. So we had that important phrase, sa, re, mi, sa, ma, ma. So we're going to really build this Ma up. So good question. So in the system, I'm not playing Ray up actually. So okay, and I'll explain because it looks like I'm playing Sa Re, right? But what it actually means when your Varjit note on Arohi is actually you cannot ascend from that note. So you understand what I'm saying? Like once you're at Re, you can't go to Ga, but you can go down to Sa. And you can come up to Re as long as you still just go back. So Sa Re is an okay move. Just like is an okay phrase also. Pa da pa is okay. Sa Re Sa will work for you. Even Mi Re Sa will work for you. So you can get to it from below, but you can't ascend from it. If that makes sense. Yeah. All right. So what was the other thing I was saying? Oh yeah. So Ma, then I'll approach Ma from Pa. Right? So that was Sare, right? Totally valid phrase. All valid phrases. Then I go to Pa, right? Now, Pa is also, an important note. But Pa is more like this resting place for this upper tetrachord action. Because now we're going to see some parallel motion happening. What is that? Right? Pa-ni da pa, sa-ga-re-sa, pa-ni da pa. Oh, pretty good. Yeah. So that kind of stuff is called samvada in and of itself. So anyway, ma is a big note. All these are big notes. So anyway, we can talk more about going and exploring the alap. But any questions so far? Didi? No. Okay.
You just play harmonic.
Yeah. Just for tuning.
You just wrote the certain.
I did on the two strings. Yeah. It's good for tuning. Okay, so we can do more alap. We can do a little listening, which I know we don't generally do, but it's going to be a good thing to do. Or something else if you guys want. Yes.
We can do it at the end. There's just this fusion of frequency that, like, now that you're playing it, like, it sounds very much like the song that I wrote.
Uh-huh. Great, let's listen to it.
It's a band called Pakshi, and it's a song called Ranjan.
All right, let's look it up. Good, interesting question. Pakshi is the name of the band?
P-A-K-S-H-I.
Yeah, the bird. And
But there's like that video that you were mentioning. It's very nice.
Ranjan. Let's see. Nothing coming up.
Maybe it's fine.
All right, you look it up. It does come up in Carnatic music a lot. Nagumomo, is a famous one.
Yeah, that song is very popular.
That song is super popular, right? It's a Tyagaraja.
But the original there actually has Komoda.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
But somehow, somewhere on the way, it got changed.
Oh.
R-A-A-N-J-H-A-N.
R-A.
R-A-A-N-J-H-A-N. Pakshi.
Pakshi.
P-A-K-S-H-W.
Oh, okay. Ranjan, yeah. Yes. Tuhin Chakravarti?
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen. Let's see if I can. Should I go into the middle? Sounds very beautiful. I mean, like, it's one of the most popular songs. I mean, you'll find tons of film songs, a lot of the fusion ones. Yeah. Yes.
But that's like a ripoff of the Musa Fateh constant. That's why it's like God based.
Right. Yeah. I mean, everybody does these. It's like I said, evergreen rock, very popular. What was the other thing Oh yeah. So let me explain one thing. Also, that was going on. That will be helpful. So when the alap happens in a rag, how does that happen? And actually, this is one of the things, and people don't talk about this enough, I don't think. Fundamental difference between Carnatic a kind of elaboration of rag and Hindustani elaboration. The fundamental modality of Hindustani music, rag elaboration, is swar bistar. That is a note by note expansion. Exactly what you kind of saw happening. So actually what happens is you're at sa, your bass sa, and actually you descend, which is what we did. We did a little bit from that lower knee and we went to the spa. Sometimes we go to that actually low sa and you'll come back to sa. So the alap generally starts by actually exploring the lower region. You come back to main sa, and then note by note, sa, re, ga, depending on the rag, you open up these notes. Opening up, that's the real like key thing, in the sense that, for example, that ma, it's an important note. You want to show this ma and its beauty in different ways. You want to, highlight that thing in a beautiful way. And then, like I said, you move up to pa, and then you get to this da. Well, you're not going to have any da bistar in Bhim Palasi, right? You're just going to move on to ni and just use that da as a bit of alankaric flavor for, that phrase. So quickly you can pass over that da, you get to ni, and then the big moment in any rag exploration in Hindustani music is when you reach high sa. Reaching the high sa is like, it's a golden moment. You're waiting for that this whole time, and it's like a big deal. So you listen for that high sa when you listen to these alaps. Then after high sa, then you might give a couple phrases above high sa, and then phrases kind of everywhere, mixing everything up, and it evolves like that. But basically, the point I wanted to make was there is a very methodic, approach to alap. Alap is not just, I'm going to explore these notes, or we're going to explore these rags. It's a very clear, highway that we follow. You can switch lanes, you can do stuff. Sometimes you can take an exit here and there, but basically, there's a highway. And like that high sa is really, I would say, for me, it's always like that. That's like the big end goal to get to. So that's what I would say. So maybe I'll just play like a very quick, 3 minutes wrap up of this Bhim Palasi with getting to high sa, and then we can call it a day. Because I know there's class now. All right, thank you guys. Yes, we want to end this stream.